Hello, my name is Johnny Whitfield. I'm the editor of the Courier-Times here in Roxboro, and I'm here today with Merilyn Newell, and she is a candidate for mayor in the city of Roxboro. Welcome to the Courier-Times. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us today.
It's my pleasure, Johnny. Thank you for having us.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your background, what you do, the things that you're involved in.
Well, I am a Roxboro native. Actually, was born and raised here in Roxboro and Person County. I was raised out in the eastern part of the county, mostly on a family farm. And so I grew up with a strong work ethic. And my parents were hardworking folks. My mother was a teacher at the high school for 28 years, and my father was a truck driver and a farmer. So we did our farming mostly on the weekends and, of course, during the summer. So I grew up in that environment next door to my grandparents, which was very rewarding and fun always to be engaged with them throughout my growing up years. I actually left high school a year early, went into college at Appalachian, and then transferred to UNC Chapel Hill. I did not finish, but I pledged to finish perhaps after I retire. It really wasn't an impediment to my career, so I did get some college in. And then remained in Chapel Hill for 12 years, where I worked in sports marketing there in the UNC athletic department. So that was my first career. And then in 1988, I was headed to Atlanta to eventually, hopefully, go to work for the Atlanta Braves. Except the job didn't happen. And I actually ended up working for First Union National Bank of Georgia and received my first banking experience there. I would have never thought in my wildest dreams I would become a banker. But I did have some business background when I was in college, and of course my time at Carolina. And then I had the opportunity to transfer back to North Carolina with First Union, where I entered a year-long training program with them to be a branch manager. And then when that was done, they said, well, we have an opening in Roxboro. And at that time, the bank was sending people back to where they came from because they thought it was good for the bank and good for the banker. So I actually came back to Roxboro in 1991 and have been here ever since. Worked in banking and also worked with my husband, my late husband, in his business uptown for 7 years. He owned an interiors business. And I was still involved in the mortgage finance area there. I was working with a company in Raleigh, and the Roxboro Savings Bank came calling for me in 1999. And I joined them. I've now been with them in my 19th year and serve on the senior management team there, where I work with investments, the bank's marketing and advertising, things like that. So I'm employed full-time. And I know a lot of people ask me, how in the world do you do all of that and be mayor too? And I will answer that question by saying that, first of all, my employer is very generous with my time and my flexibility to be able to come and go and do the city business that needs to be done. I also am careful that it not impede my ability to accomplish my tasks at the bank, but also it sort of works right alongside what I do at the bank. I mean, it really is a very symbiotic relationship. But I also kept my employment primarily because I have excellent benefits. And by keeping my insurance with the bank, my health insurance and care is not a burden to the taxpayers of the city of Roxboro. So I don't have the city's insurance for that very reason, and I kept my insurance at the bank instead. So that's the primary reason why I do continue to work. I'm about 4 years away from retirement. And again, just find being mayor is just a natural extension of what I do at the bank.
Well, let me ask you about some of the extracurricular things, and you've already said, you are the mayor currently, and but talk to me a little bit about some of the things that you do outside of work and outside of your role in elective office in the community.
When I have time, I do. I've been in theater.
Really?
I've appeared probably in about over 50 theater productions. I'm also a musician. So
what do you play?
I play 13 different instruments.
Oh, wow.
At different points in my life. I may not play them all today, but I can pick them up and hopefully brush up some. And I do sing and play the piano. So music's always been a very important part of my life. And I'm a very strong proponent of music education and speak on that topic wherever possible, because I really do believe that children who receive music education get a real jump toward their other academic achievements. And so I'm a very big proponent of music education. So I do work with the theater that engages me with our young people, which is another opportunity. But I also spend a good bit of time working with diversity groups here. And while that's going to be a bridge over into part of what I do as a mayor, I'm probably doing these things anyway, because I really believe in, as a basic group, the brothers and sisters in conversation, and I'm very active with that group, and look for opportunities to engage with our diverse populations, have opportunities to explore the different, just trying to understand each other, more about where we are alike than where we are different. So I do spend a good bit of time there. In my spare time, I like to read. I do some cooking, just kind of when I have time. But I really do look for every opportunity to engage in the community, because I believe that's what a mayor should do, and that and you engage with all groups and all opportunities. I rarely say no. If someone asks me to come do something, whether it's on a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon or anything like that, or evenings, during the day, I find a way to get there. I don't ever seem to have a difficulty unless I have to be two places at once. And that does happen from time to time. But I do find an opportunity where possible to engage those who ask me to come and help.
Okay. Talk to me a little bit about, when you consider your skills and your personality traits. Talk to me a little bit about one or two things that you think would be your biggest strengths in terms of serving as mayor of the city of Roxboro.
Well, I have a very high energy level. I go from early morning all the way till 10 o'clock at night. I do turn the switch off at 10 o'clock and try to be an early to bedder. But at the same time, I really work hard to maximize my time and maximize my connections with the public, because they want to be engaged with you now. They don't want to have to wait for their questions to be answered. I'm connected through technology. I have people who text me, call me, email me, message me on Facebook, however it might need to happen. I have many what I call neighborhood angels, people who keep an eye on their neighborhood and report to me when things aren't going well or something needs to be addressed by the city, because we just cannot have our eyes everywhere. So I would say that's probably my biggest strength, is my connectivity. And not just here in Roxboro and Person County, but also outside of Roxboro. I've worked over the last 6 years, especially as mayor, and of course the 8 years prior when I was a council member, to develop relationships with all of the elected officials in the municipalities and counties that surround us. I was involved with the Courier-Times Council of Governments, Executive Board, and Board of Directors for several years. Got to know all of those folks, still do visit them on occasion. But I also have relationships with the mayor of Durham, the mayor of Oxford, the mayor of Yanceyville, South Boston, Danville. We can pick up the phone and call each other, because we find we have many mutual interests and areas where we can help each other. So I would say my connectivity and my experience really are the two main things I would bring to the table.
Well, let me ask you the flip side of that question. We all have strengths. We also all have weaknesses.
Sure.
What do you see as your biggest weakness in terms of serving as mayor?
My biggest weakness perhaps is maybe some frustration with not being able to please everybody. You just can't make everybody happy. You really do your solid best to work in good faith. And of course, we do have ordinances and laws that guide what we can and can't do for folks. And I guess that's probably the area where I might consider a weakness, is being okay with that, is knowing that if there's someone that I just could not satisfy, someone we could not make happy, have we done our best? Have we done what we could? Did we right or wrong if we made a mistake? Those kinds of things. I guess it's making sure that things go smoothly, and you certainly want to make everybody happy.
Okay, that's interesting. So what I'm hearing you say then is that to some degree you all will look at those situations where you haven't satisfied a voter or a citizen or a customer and try to assess whether or not you could have done better.
Oh, always. And again, we're human. We're going to, we're human. We're operating machinery. We're operating systems that go down. There are people who are in the middle of shampooing their hair and the water gets turned off. We have those situations, and people get upset when those things happen, justifiably so. But we also know that we make every possible effort to connect through technology connect with our citizens, to keep them as informed as possible. Everybody wants to know everything immediately, so we try to do our best. And we may not make it every time, but we certainly work toward that ideal.
Okay, great. Let me ask you about what you see as Roxboro's biggest challenge in the next 4 years. I know there are challenges the city is working on today, but as you look at the next 4 years, what's next for Roxboro?
Well, I think right now is the fact that we haven't grown. Our tax base has not grown in several years.
Right.
It's been just little 1% shifts up or down over the last, 8 to 10 years, to the best I can recall. And what happens though is that the cost for providing services continues to rise. The cost to treat a gallon of water continues to rise. Salaries, benefits, those things that we provide to our people. So finding ways to be efficient and effective and still provide the level of services that our citizens deserve is probably always going to be our greatest challenge. I'd say for the city of Roxboro proper, or its staff, and the areas in which we serve the populace. But I just see growth as being a really, really strong challenge for us. We need to be able to grow inside the city limits. We need more residents. We want to attract people to live in Roxboro. We want them to live in Roxboro because they want to.
Right.
Because if we've made it attractive enough, we've got the right mix of opportunities and entertainments and restaurants and all the things that people want in their community, but yet keep our small town feel, our beautiful surroundings. It's a balancing act because you want to grow in the right ways. And so that's probably our biggest challenge, is how we grow.
Well, and so let me ask you, and I understand that, if you had the answer to this question, you'd done it already, but how does the city tackle a problem like that? The state has provided laws that don't allow for voluntary annexation anymore. So how does the city address its growth issues?
Well, I think there are two ways. Number one, we work as we are already in economic development to bring, to continue to bring jobs, and whether they are in existing industries or whether they are in new industries, we want to make sure we bring jobs that are appropriate for our surroundings and that can help get our people to work. We want people to be able to live and work right here in Roxboro. We don't like the idea that 25% of our workforce leaves the county every day to go to work in another county. So I think that providing jobs that are available here is a cost savings to the citizen, but it also provides that cycle of economy where your dollars are spent here, their taxes are spent here. We like to see that opportunity for those dollars to stay in our local economy instead of going to the grocery stores and things in Durham, places like that. So I think providing jobs here within our community is so very important, whether it's in the private sector or the public sector, whether it's in service industries. We just want to see that there's opportunities there for folks to work.
Okay. Let me ask you about one other issue that comes up often, and that's the relationship between the city and the county. There are times when it seems to be very good, and there are times when it seems pretty strained. I wonder what you would like to do as mayor over the next term to build that relationship into a strong relationship.
Well, it's always a relationship in flux. It does seem to change. It depends on the issues. It depends on how the county perceives the city's role in the issues that they are considering. Sometimes we are an active player, sometimes we're not. And we understand that. We understand that position. But at the same time, we are the county seat. We are the economic engine for Person County. And I think that I would hope that there's some mutual respect for that symbiotic relationship that we occupy. The city of Roxboro has been diligent in its improvement of infrastructure. We have looked to maintain the roads, the sidewalks, all the things that have been entrusted to us at the city level. But at the same time, we also believe that in so doing, that we are helping all of Person County. It's not just about the city proper. And as I often like to remind folks, you know, city residents pay the very same county taxes as every other county taxpayer. So we are already paying for a number, or for all of the county services that are offered. And I just think that as we find more mutual opportunities to work together and grow together, that it can only help both of our bodies.
Okay, well, great. Well, thank you for taking the time to visit with us today. This has
You're
been
welcome.
quite a pleasure. And thank you for watching. We hope that you will go out and vote. Election Day is October 10th, and early voting begins on September 21st. Thank you.